we're here in London, just off the King's Road, for a closer look at the sector's biggest export market.
Lebanese wine has a mystique. It's very romantic, and when people open a bottle of Lebanese wine, many of them feel they're uncorking a wine with a whiff of conflict.
For Michel Karam, it's Lebanon's centuries-old tradition of winemaking, combined with the turbulence of the country's recent past, that keeps consumers coming back for more.
It's exciting. Lebanese wine is very exciting. And also, it hasn't hurt the fact that Lebanon has still maintained this kind of glamorous brand equity. It's in a very turbulent part of the world, but it's still managed to have this reputation of being a party town.
Retailing anywhere from 20 to 40 pounds in London shops, as well as on a growing number of local wine lists, Lebanese wine is an affordable way to take a taste of the country's cultural past.
Lebanese wine's been hitting the shelves in London for about 30 years now. Chateau Muzar was discovered, if you want to use that word, at the Bristol Wine Fair in 1979, and has been a darling of the UK wine trade ever since. So it's been around for about 30 years, available to consumers. What has not been around for so long have been the other wines that came out after the 75-90 Civil War, when about 12 new producers dusted themselves down from the fighting and took a look around at what was happening in the wine world and said, well, we're grape farmers, we've been working grapes for generations, we can do some of this, we can get in on the action. And so in the last 25 years, if you want, there's been a kind of renaissance in Lebanese wine, and the wines have now become a lot more accessible all over the world. Demand for Lebanese wine is still very small. We're a very small country, we have very small production. Just to give you an idea of the level of production, we make 9 million bottles a year. That might sound a lot, but just across the water, the Cyprus doing 40 million, Israel to the south does 50 million, Turkey to the north does 70 million. And even those figures by a global standard is nothing. You know, Italy does 4 billion bottles a year. If you look at the ranking of the world's top wine producers, the country before it stops naming countries and goes to the rest of the world is Brazil. No one's really had wine from Brazil, I would venture, and Brazil makes 350 million bottles. So 9 million is tiny.
What's the most difficult part of bringing this product to market?
At home, land is a problem because land is expensive, but if you were to overcome that land problem, if you owned land, for example, and decided to plant it, the making of the wine and the bottling of the wine and the packaging of the wine is in fact quite easy. The real challenge is selling it. Now, if you can sell all your wine in the local market, that's fantastic. A lot of Lebanese wine producers have aspirations to export their wines abroad, and this is where it becomes quite tricky because, as you said, there are 36 billion bottles on the shelves out there, and we have to try and kind of push through our little production level and get it to the consumer and say to the consumer, drink us, drink Lebanese wine. How do you do that? You have to sell the idea of Lebanon as a wine producing country before you sell the idea of the individual wine producers. If you were to stop someone on the street in the King's Road out here and say Chile, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? The chances are they would say wine. Because, I mean, they probably don't know, they probably couldn't name a single Chilean wine producer, but they know that Chile makes wine. If you stop them on the street and you say Lebanon, they're probably going to say guys with guns, guys with beards, instability, war, religious turmoil, and so on. So we need to replace these images in the mind of the consumers with images of mountains, vineyards, big guys with big moustaches and huge hands picking vines, families sitting around the table enjoying that Mediterranean lifestyle. That is what needs to be done if Lebanon is to really kind of get a toehold in the international market. It's got to be seen, it's got to be recognized in the consumer's mind as a wine producing country.
Where can Chateau Muzar and other brands like Ixer hope to go in future?
Well, Chateau Muzar has been around a long time. It's everywhere. It's all over the world. So you're talking about the rest of the newcomers, if you want. Ixer, Chateau Gefraya, Chateau Xara, Domaine de Tourelle, all these other very exciting new producers that are coming up. The UK is probably the market that is most open to wines from the more exotic countries or the less known wine producing countries. So that's a very vibrant market for us. The US, and in particular New York, is a market with huge potential, and Japan, again, is a market with huge potential. Why? Because these markets with very sophisticated wine professionals and very sophisticated consumers are always on the lookout for wines from new countries with new grapes and new expressions of terroir, and Lebanon fits that bill.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.